your man from the motherland. We back at it one more time. This is Will Smith, not the actor. Tuning in to Talking Cool. Thank y'all so much. We on IntellectualRadio.com. The largest, the biggest, the baddest, Black-owned and operated podcast station in the world. How y'all doing today? Man, I'm back in action for your satisfaction. I won't be long, but I'm going to be strong. I got some things I want to talk about, today. This message, just let's pay a couple of bills. This message is brought to you by Concepts Outside of Ordinary Limits. Is sponsoring the show. Concepts Outside of Ordinary Limits, also known as Cool, helping people be better. Black-owned male therapists. Give them a call at 708-405-9569. And again, thank you for listening in, tuning in to Talking Cool. With Will Smith, not the actor. But man, I want to talk about for a few moments, like I said before, I won't be long, but I will be strong. It's a lot of things that's been going on. And I want to talk for a minute about mental health. I want to talk for a minute specifically about men's mental health. And mental health matters. So the title of this show is called Mental Health Matters for Men, because we think it don't. We think we got it. We think it's a indictment against our manhood if we concede, suggest, say that I might need to go see a therapist, that I might need to go see a counselor, that I might need to just go talk to somebody. Man, we think it mean that we not that dude. We think it mean that I'm not him. But I'm here to dispel that myth. I'm here to give you another viewpoint. I'm here to help you see another side of that equation. But let me hit you with some stats first, And these stats, when I did my research, because a lot of people just be talking. A lot of people be, talking like a fool. But when it's all said and done, I want you to be talking cool. That's why I thank you for listening to this Intellectual Radio Station.com, because you got to be an intellectual, like I said before, for this stuff. And I want you to sit back wherever you at. If you're driving, sit back, relax, leave the road rage alone. If you at home, turn the TV down, turn the lights off, and just relax yourself for a minute. Take a couple of deep breaths for a minute. This is college football time. This is National Football League time. Just relax yourself for a moment as we get ready to go into this show. How you doing, man? I just want to know how y'all doing. I'm doing all right, man. It's been a good week. Let me check in with y'all. I'm gonna do my own check-in. It's been a good week, man. The Dallas Cowboys won last week, and every time the Cowboys win, it's just a better week for me. I just feel better. The sun shines a little bit brighter when the Cowboys win. And so I just want you all to figure out what helps you feel better, what brightens your day. And I know somebody out there, no matter who you are, no matter what your favorite team is, when I say the word Dallas Cowboys, there's some emotion there. That's because it's America's team. And you either love them or you hate them. But you feel something for them because it's America's team. So if you're on the East Coast, if you're on the West Coast, if you're up north, if you're down in the dirty South, I don't care where you are. Understand, and I want you to feel like every Cowboy fan feels. This our year. This is our year. The Kansas City Chiefs mystique is over. The Giants, they got a minute before they could. Philly is going down like they've done before. The thing is over for them. It's just a wrap for Philly. Chicago still trying to get it right with the quarterback situation. And I promise you, Caleb have a couple of bad games. They're going to put that second string quarterback in that they gave all that money to. I think they really like him. Detroit gonna do what Detroit do, which is collapse in the end. Sooner or later, they just gonna fall apart. And right there waiting to win the playoff game, to win the division, to go to the Super Bowl. Finally, will be them boys. Yeah, this is not a sports show, but I just wanted to throw that in there because I know a lot of people listening also believe in America's team. And I want to know, Cowboy Nation, I'm with you. But as I get back to, that was a pause for station identification. I want to get back to this thing on mental health, men's mental health, to be specific. Man, look at these stats that I took a look at. It says, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, approximately 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety each year. Now, that's 1 in 10. That's a lot of brothers. All right. And these stats that I'm about to give you all, it's not even, I didn't even get an opportunity. It didn't hit me until I was coming here to research men of color, because usually it's even higher for the black and the brown. So if 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety each year, man, what you think that number is for the men of color? Oh yeah, you got ICE agents jumping out all over the place, just taking people in. They don't even check for stuff. You might be whisked away at the drop of a dime. You out there trying to get a job. You out there, at Home Depot. You out there in the parking lot doing your Uber, trying to make a way for your family, and they hopping out, just taking you in. Man, what you think it is for the brown and for the brothers? That's the MO. That's the game plan that they've been using on us for centuries, just popping out, pulling up on the brother. Let me see everybody in the car ID. One of y'all had to do something. Gotta be wanted for something. Man, that's Black Wall Street. Are you a little bit too successful? Let's burn y'all stuff down. That's the world we live in. So imagine what it is when I give you all these stats for the men of color, the brown and the black. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, reports that over 6 million men in the U.S. suffer from depression. Depression. Oh, and we keep saying to ourselves, I got this. I don't need no help. I got this. Despite the prevalence, men are less likely than women to seek help for mental health issues. Some studies, the people who study, the smart people, they study this stuff. And it suggests that only 36% of men with mental health concerns receive treatment, compared to 51% of women. So we be giving them a hard time. We be giving women a hard time and talking about them. But maybe they doing better because they're not afraid to go get some help. I think I just said something. But let me talk about the suicide rates real quick. Men account for nearly 4 out of 5 suicides in the United States. Who knew? Who knew? I ain't lying. Google it. Ain't that what Shaq said? Google it. Google me, Chuck. Google me. Man, Google this stuff I'm saying. I ain't talking out the side of my mouth like some administrations, like some political people with nothing to back it up, just telling y'all what I think because that's just how I feel. Man, I looked this stuff up. It's right there for you to see. The suicide rate for men is 3.7 times higher than for women, according to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. Maybe we need to talk more. We always talking about women always talking. They always crying. They can't never shut up. Well, maybe that's how they get the stuff that's inside of them out so that they don't commit suicide. Maybe that's a good way of dealing with what you got going on, finding somebody to talk to. I think I just said something. Middle-aged men, ages 45 to 64 is what middle age is, have the highest suicide rates among all age groups. Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, this when we talk about busting myths, when we talk about looking at the stats, looking at the facts, brothers, if the stats matter, when we argue about whether Kobe, whether MJ, whether LeBron, who the greatest, just had this talk the other day, whether it's Kareem, and we take a look at the stats, and I still don't know why ain't nobody throwing Magic Johnson in there because I still don't think LeBron and I still don't think Kobe surpassed Magic Man, the Magic Man. But that's a whole nother thing. So if we're taking a look at stats, and if we use stats for all the other stuff that we debate about, take a look at the stats concerning mental health. And middle-aged men, 45 to 64, that's when you're supposed to be on cruise control. That's when you're supposed to be on easy street. That's when things supposed to be happening. But those the cats that's committing suicide. Man, so I gotta ask myself, we gotta ask ourselves, what's really going on? Ric Flair used to say, what's causing all this? Woo! What's causing all this? Well, let's take a look at some of the stigmas. And that's kind of like what I want to talk about too. We're gonna get a little bit deeper into this. Again, if you just tuning in, if you just stumble upon this is Talking Cool. This is Will Smith, and you on IntellectualRadio.com, baby. And so risk factors, why why men don't seek out mental health. One is the stigma. I talked about that at the beginning of the show. Stigma and cultural expectations often discourage men from expression, from expressing, I'm gonna hit y'all with this word, vulnerability or seeking help. If I get help, that means I'm vulnerable. I mean, I can't handle it. I'm weak. Meanwhile, if your game in bowling is suffering and you didn't strike in the 10th frame and you the anchor man, you come into practice. You start videoing yourself. You start pulling up tape, videos on YouTube to get you some help. Meanwhile, when Junior can't go to his left and he can't go to his right, and he's standing there with the ball in his hand, you take him to a basketball camp. Why? So he can get some help with what he got going on. In so many different things. If I can get guys to look at mental health like we look at sports and so many other things that we do, we'd be in a much better state. So thinking that you're vulnerable, thinking that the people, it's about public perception. People gonna think that we weak. And culturally, some cultures, especially when we talk about the black and the brown, we don't trust therapists. They don't understand. They don't identify with our culture. They don't know what's going on. You know, I don't want to sit in front of somebody who's feeling sorry for me. I don't want to sit in front of somebody who's just sympathetic for me. I want somebody who understands the plight of what we go through. So I'm just not going to nobody. Or I'm a man and I don't want to sit in front of a woman and talk to her about man issues because she ain't going to understand. So I ain't going. I might be coming down your street. If the shoe fit, go ahead and put it on. If it don't get sensitive. Don't get funny acting. Just don't put that shoe on. Men are more likely to use unhealthy coping mechanisms. I was about to get deep right here. Men are likely to use unhealthy coping mechanisms, people, such as substance abuse, which can exacerbate your mental health problems. You're hitting the bottom. The cognac, vodka and cranberry. The beers is you got the refrigerators full of beers. You're smoking that weed. Smoking that weed. Oh, I'm gonna say that one more time. Smoking that weed. That sounds like a hit right there. If I can loop that, smoking that weed, put a beat behind that. Smoking that weed. You're smoking that weed for a reason. Because if you take a look at what that drug does, it might be what you coping with to help calm down your anxiety instead of facing what the anxiety is, so that naturally, mentally, cognitively, you can deal with it. But coping mechanisms, and man, unhealthy coping mechanisms, man, I'm gonna go a little bit, I'm gonna go, and I'm talking about this later. Maybe you join a gang. That's an unhealthy coping mechanism. Maybe you seek legal activities to get where you think you need to be. Ah, that's an unhealthy coping mechanism. Maybe you don't feel wanted, loved, or whatever, so you sleeping with anybody and everybody that you can. Mm, that's an unhealthy coping mechanism. We gonna talk about that little bit later. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but unemployment, financial stress, relationship difficulties are significant contributors to mental health challenges among men. If you ever, or if you haven't any of those, man, check your mental health. Do a self check every now and then. We're supposed to go to the doctor once a year, annually. We don't even do that. And don't worry, because I got a brother who's a physician who's coming in on one of my later shows to talk about men's health and the importance of it. But if you ever dealt with unemployment, if you ever dealt with financial stresses, if your girl ever been getting on your nerves, if you ever been locked up, incarcerated, if you got a pending case, if IRS is on your back, if the mortgage is due, baby, try the college tuition is due. Oh man, what's up? Man, those financial stresses, they take a toll. If you done had health issues and the medical bills keep piling on, maybe you taking care of mama or daddy, medical expenses piling on. You still got to go to work. You still got to get them to their doctor's appointments. You still got to take care of Junior. You still got to take care of baby girl. Even the dog wants you to pet them every now and then. Ah, mental health matters, brothers. Mental health matters. And let me tell y'all, mental health matters. Mental health issues in men can lead to increased risk of cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and other chronic health issues. Man, we think we got it, but we turn around and we look up and something done got us. We didn't get. We didn't get shot. We didn't get carjacked. But because of the stress, the anxiety, the things that go on with life, the trauma, we done fooled around and bad health and got us. Ah, let me tell you. Let me tell you. I remember, I'm gonna give y'all a personal story. I'm gonna give a personal story. I remember 4 and 7 years ago. I remember back in the day. I remember back in time. I remember, I was, federal officer, and I was going to training to the training academy because I was about to be certified as a ORT specialist, a trainer. So I'm going to train other officers in tactical response, hand to hand type of stuff. And so I remember going there, and everything was good. Hey, life was just life, and it was just regular stuff. But every time you go to the academy, every time you go back to the training center for anything, even if it's just to be trained on something or to get certified in something, they run a quick physical on you. So I remember getting off the plane. I remember getting a ride to the training center, checking in, getting assigned my room, where I was going to be at, and everything, getting the ID to be on a training facility. And then you go up, and then you get your physical. And I remember, I never forget. Now this is when I'm in my prime. This ain't like last year or the year before. I'm in my prime. I'm hooping. I'm working out. I'm in a gym. And I ain't talking about I'm looking good. I ain't talking about I'm slightly above average. Man, I ain't even saying I was sexy. I was super sexy. I mean, I was cut. I was chiseled. I had a little ab thing going on. I was proud of my abs. I was doing pull-ups, all the stuff I couldn't do when I was a shorty back in gym, when gym was really gym, when he was in elementary school. Remember, we had to climb the rope, and a gym teacher gave you a test on pull-ups, and I remember it was Jerome Brown. Jerome Brown was all big and built, and we was like in 7th grade. He was just doing pull-ups galore. I'm like built like the Hulk. And I'm just squeezing up one or two. But now I can do like chin-ups, now pull-ups now. And I'm kind of cut. I'm kind of nice. And I take out my shirt at the spot at the pool, take off my shirt, hooping to take off my shirt at the beach with pride now. And I remember she was taking my blood pressure. And she put the now I ain't had no issues before. I had to get checked out by the feds. I had to get a physical for the feds. I done went to the doctor before. Man, I ain't had no issues. She say, "How you feel?" I said, "I'm fine." She said, "You feeling lightheaded?" I'm like, "Nah." I'm like, why you ask?" She said, "Well, your blood pressure is really high." I said, "My blood pressure really high." I'm like, "Cool, that's the other side of the pillow. What you mean?" I was just saying it's really high. You sure you okay? She said, I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, it was a late night." I said, I was rushing to get to the plane, you know what I'm saying? It was a 2-hour flight, to get to South Carolina to the federal law enforcement training center. It's a little hectic, but I'm good. She said, "All right, well, look, maybe that's it, man." So she said, "Come back tomorrow morning, go get you some rest. Come back tomorrow morning and let me take your blood pressure again." I'm like, "Cool, hey." I'm like Superman, I'm man of steel. All right, so I come back and she take my blood pressure. And I got plenty of sleep. I didn't even hang out with the fellas at the no wake zone. I actually went to sleep. She said, "Well, it's not as high as it was yesterday, but it's still high." She said, "Anything going on?" I said, "Well, mm, only thing I can think of is I'm getting divorced. I'm going through divorce. And they tripping. Everybody tripping. It's me against the world." I'm like Tupac. It's me against the world. I got the judge is a female. My attorney is a female. The ex is a female. Her attorney is a female. I said, "It's me against the world, doc. But other than that, I'm cool." She said, "Maybe the stress of all that is affecting your blood pressure." I ain't never thought about it. And my blood pressure never went down. I had to go. I got back. I did training. I got certified. Did what I had to do. But I'm like, now let me go check. I remember I went to the to the mall and they were doing free blood pressure screenings. I'm like, maybe her machine was messed up. Maybe let me get my blood pressure checked again at the mall because I was going to get me some protein for my workout and stuff mix. And yeah, your blood pressure a little high, bro. I'm like, still, this like 2 or 3 months later, man. So I said, let me go to the doctor. Doctor was like, "Hey, here's your prescription for blood pressure medicine." Mental health matters, fellas. When you think you got it going on, when you think you're dealing with everything okay, then I start seeing all this stuff about blood pressure, high blood pressure being the silent killer, meaning that you don't even know you got it. You look up and you done stroked out. Wow. Mental health matters. I was going through what I call the storm. Like everybody know me, the divorce when I went through the storm. I was going through the storm. Didn't even know it was affecting my physicalness, my blood pressure. So mental health matters. Cardiovascular, we stroking out at a higher rate. We having a heart attack at a higher rate. We dying, fellas, we dying. Because we not addressing our mental health issues. So you trying to make a way, you trying to provide for your people, doing everything that you can do. The next thing you know, you stroke out, you have a heart attack at an early age. And guess what? The house, the car, everything you work so hard. Your girl, she go get a younger dude. They enjoy the life insurance and they living happily ever after. Meanwhile, you done stroked out because you didn't go address your anxiety, your mental health issues. Just get somebody to talk to. I ain't telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. Men with untreated depression are at a higher risk of developing severe physical illness. Y'all already saw or heard what I said about suicide. Brothers, men committing suicide. Man, so look, globally, the World Health Organization estimated globally that 1 in 5 men will experience a mental health disorder sometime in their lifetime. That's 1 in 5 men. We talking men all over the world. Like 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 in the movie Friday After Next. Top flight security of the world, Craig. Top flight security of the world. Yeah, yeah. All over the world, fellas. All over the world. 1 in 5 men. Guess what? Some of y'all listening fall in that five. So if I count five off, if I have five of my listeners sound off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one of y'all either done had or about to have a mental health issue. I borrow a quote from my minister back in the day. He said, "You either just came out of a storm, you either in a storm, or it's a storm on the horizon." Mm, mm. Mental health, fellas. Mental health. Men's mental health is a major public concern. Men's mental health matters. We got to reduce the stigma about mental health. We got to reduce what we think it is and what we think we ain't. And so, look, so if you get anything from this show, I've been a therapist for a long time. I done had my counseling stuff for a long time. I graduated from Loyola University Masters in Social Work program back in 1999. All right, I've been working. I done did crisis stuff. I done work in psych hospitals. I done work with the juvenile justice, DCFS. I done work for the feds. I done you name it. I done did it. Black, white, Hispanic, you name it. I did it. I'm telling you, mental health matters. And so it's good to have this open conversation about mental health. I'm glad that you got platforms like Better Health and things like that, making obtaining mental health services easier for you. I'm glad that we got athletes talking about mental health stuff. You got athletes doing commercials about mental health stuff. Because even if you on top, even if you doing it big, it's one thing to get to the top, but it's another thing to stay on top. Mental health matters, and life be lifing. And I and so for the next part of this show, man, I'm gonna give you some examples of what it looks like because we see mental health as meaning that, man, I'm having auditory hallucination. I ain't hearing no voices. Man, I ain't seeing no things that's not there. Man, I ain't thinking about killing myself. I ain't thinking about killing nobody else. But that ain't what this mental health thing is all about. See, that's the extreme side that we looking at. So I'm gonna give you all some examples of what it could look like. Now, just because you're going through some situations don't necessarily mean you having a mental health issue. But that's up to you to decide. And if you think you are, why not be safer than sorry? Mm. Yeah. So look, what does it look like? So let me give you my first example, man. I for 23 years, I was a federal officer for 23 years, man. And what is this thug life about? What is this thug life about? What would it take? What does it take? What needs to happen for a person to decide that I'm a gang bang? I'm a belong to a gang. I'm a wild out. What does it take, for that to happen? You know, the song is like whatever your favorite song is. I said this before. My favorite song, if this was name that tune, the minute it comes on, within the first second, I can tell you what that's my song. No matter what I turn into the station, if my song is on, I can just start singing if it's my favorite song. I know if it's at the beginning, I know if it's in, I know if it's about to go off. I can write down the words to my favorite song. I can sing the words to my favorite song. I can go backwards to my favorite song. Well, guess what? The gang bang, the thug life, the wilding out, the street life, it's the same as a favorite song. It's the same as your favorite movie. Man, I watch Rocky 1, 2, every time it come on. I don't care what part it's at. I'm watching it. I know what the movie is about. Seen it over and over again. But still I'm watching it. So when we look at this thug life thing, when we look at the street life thing, guys, we know how the movie ends. We know how this song goes. It's going to end one or two ways. And maybe one in three ways. I give you three. You're either going to be locked up, you're going to be shot up, killed, or you're going to be maimed for life. I mean, sometimes death is the easy way out. It's people quadriplegics, can't use their arm, they've been beat to death, don't have the use of their one eye or another, can't walk right, walking with a limp for the rest of your life. We know how it's going to end. So if I choose that lifestyle, to me, I said, I'm a licensed clinical therapist. To me, it sounds like there's a heightened sense of hopelessness. Hopelessness that's saying, I can't make it no other way. And I don't care if I live, if I die. That's what it's saying to me. If I don't care if I'm incarcerated, if I know that everybody in my crew, in my clique, they can turn on me in a heartbeat. It ain't no honor among thieves. I'm here to tell you. I heard James get out and talk about how didn't nobody put nothing on his books. The same ones that was brothers for life, ride or die. Ain't sent them a letter. Trying to get with his girl. He was locked. Didn't nobody take care of his shorties. Man, we know how the story ends. But if we choose in that, that's a level of depression, a level of hopelessness, developing an anti-social attitude. This thing we call depersonalization disorder. Yeah. The personalization disorder. And that's basically where you have physical and emotional numbness, where you kind of detach from yourself and you detach from your surroundings. Man, you numb. You've been through so much trauma in your life. You done had so many things happen to you in your life that you just said, I don't have no feelings. And whatever happened, happened. Man, mental health matters. Man, y'all need to call me. If that's your attitude, if that's what you've been thinking, if that's how you feel, 708-405-9569, concepts outside of ordinary limits. Man, let's book it up. Also, that's kind of like how it looks. But we don't think of thugging and gangbanging as having mental health issues. What about traumatic childhood? Suppose you went through some things. Suppose you was in an abusive home. Suppose you was with DCFS. I worked for DCFS for 10 years. I was a case manager. I was a licensing rep. Suppose you had a lack of support at home, like didn't nobody really care, pay you no attention. Maybe your parents was addicted with drugs. Maybe they was working too hard. Maybe they was workaholics. Maybe they was never really there. Maybe it was no hugs, no kisses. No, I'm proud of you. I was watching Steve Harvey. He was on a podcast, The Pivot, not too long ago. He was on The Pivot. And here's Steve Harvey, this brother, a millionaire. I mean, if he never did nothing else, the money he got to get from the reruns of all the different Family Feud show, he got to get a check for like $50 million a year just from the reruns of Family Feud. And so he owned the show with the guys, and somehow they got on manhood and fatherhood. And he said, my dad never told me he was proud of me. And right there in that moment, Steve started crying because it was never addressed. In that moment, he was dealing with his issues. In that moment, Even though he was successful, he still had some issues from when he was being raised as a child. And so these issues, how they manifest itself when we're an adult, and you can be unable to maintain intimate relationships. And when I say intimate, it doesn't have anything to do with sexual. It could be close friends, like having a best friend. It could be maintain a relationship with a significant other. It can even be relationships with your kids. If these things aren't addressed, so you got a lack of patience, you got a lack of forgiveness, you don't know how to relate to your children, you super confrontational because you still angry on the inside. These are the cats who, when you had these traumatic childhoods and you had to fight your way, at the juvie, when you had to fight your way when they put you in that group home with all them people there, and when you had to fight all this time just to get to school, you had to fight because I remember when I was doing DCFS work, I had a client, I had a young man on Wabash, but he had to go to school. It was across State Street. He wasn't in the gang, but guess what? Every day he was going to school, they were trying to recruit him. And since he didn't want to be in the gang, he had to get beat just across the street to go to school. So, man, if you don't get that type of stuff dealt with, man, you can have all type of anger issues built up inside of you. And now you, like I said, you road raging. You unable to maintain employment because it's this thing I like to talk about, the little boy within, because every time your supervisor talk to you in a wrong way, you snap off, and then you end up getting fired. You end up quitting. And the little boy within, we all got a little boy within. And that little boy within remembers how my daddy talked to me, how the people in my life talked to me. And that little boy within said, ain't nobody gonna ever treat me like that or talk to me again, like that again. And so now, the moment you think somebody talking to you like that or treating you like that, it's on. It's on and popping at all cost. And so you find yourself like the dude on the Bishop Ford a couple of weeks ago who beating somebody down over road rage. So you about to spend some time in a big house just because somebody didn't put on a signal. Come on, y'all. I'm just trying to get you to see what mental health unaddressed looks like in men. When we talk about trying to maintain relationships with the girlfriends, with the spouse, don't feel appreciated, undervalued, when you feel unwanted, when the sex is low, when she not giving you none no more, and you're trying not to lose your mind, and you got high levels of anxiety. Man, I'm proud to say that I got a lot of men that I do therapy with. I got more and more guys looking me up because guys are looking for male therapists. You can find me on Psychology Today, Will Smith. You can find me you can call the number I gave you. But guys are looking for guys to talk to. And they're not psychotic, they're not suicidal, they're not looking to kill nobody. They just trying to deal with their relationship issues because it's driving them mad. They don't know what to do. They need some advice. They need to talk to somebody in a safe space, in a safe place. And that's part of what this mental health therapy thing is. You come in, we shoot the breeze, we talk about whatever. Man, you get that stuff off your chest. That's what this thing is all about. Relationship issues, dealing with relationship issues and things of the such. So another thing that we take for granted is when we try to deal with death, when we try to deal with grief. You know, I had a young man who was about 20, 26, and he had a kid. He had all the potential in the world. And I kept trying to get him to not be involved in the justice system. Can you make better choices? Can you do things a different way? I'm trying to help him restructure his cognitions, his thinking, the way he thinks. That's what CBT is, cognitive behavioral therapy. Let's see how you think, and let's see if we need to redirected. And so he said, I said, brother, where you gonna be at? Where you see yourself in 2 to 5 years? Where you see yourself at in 2 to 5 years? Man, he said, man, to tell the truth, I don't. I said, what you mean? Like what? What's up? Talk to me. He said, there's so much death around me, man. My best friend just got shot and killed, and my history, the people around me before then was killed, and really everybody dying. And he said, I just figured my time is right around the corner no matter what I do. I'm next sooner or later. So when you're talking about 2 to 5 years down the line, man, I don't know if I'll make it past tomorrow. Wow. That was an epiphany to me. Because he had a job. He just had a son. He was actually trying to be a good dad. He was all involved for the son. But on the inside, he thinking it's a wrap. He thinking it's over. It's a done deal. That my destiny is the Grim Reaper is right around the corner. And I remember a song by Jay-Z. Jay-Z had a line in one of his songs. He said, I'd rather die enormous than to live dormant. So, I mean, I'm a wild out. I'm going to make this money. I know it's fast money. I'd rather live like that and experience having some things, some of the finer things, than live a life, than die. And I ain't never had nothing. Oh, man, mental health matters. The way we think matters. Death, grief. Man, I don't put death. Man, I wouldn't wish death on my worst enemy. Man, how do we deal with death when it's somebody you love, when it's unexpected, even when it's expected? Man, death is the hardest thing that all of us got to deal with. But how do you make it through that storm of life? Me and Phil, I ask people, say, "Oh, he doing all right, man. He's strong. He doing all right." What's strong, man, and what's doing all right? Well, he ain't crying, nothing like that. He didn't even cry at the funeral. He didn't cry at the funeral. Man, when did it become unmanly to cry, to shed a tear? I mean, it's not an indictment against your manhood to shed a tear. I mean, I know this ain't church, and I know this ain't Sunday, but darn it, even Jesus wept. If Jesus wept, and I think I can shed a tear every now and then. If Jesus wept, and I know somebody out there in the ministry world is going to tell me, well, Jesus wept. No, no, no. Jesus wept because he wept. All right. He wept because his boy was dead. I don't care what nobody say. I didn't study the Bible. I know the Bible. I go to church. I didn't talk the Bible. When it's all said and done, Lazarus was dead. And if you ever walked into a home that death is visiting, it's one of the most somber places you can walk into. When the cloud of death is over a home, and that's what Jesus, he walked into a place where the cloud of death was over that home. I mean, he knew about it days ago. Remember? Mary Martha sent him a note. I'm just giving y'all some biblical, some stuff. They sent him a note. And they said, Jesus, the one you love is dead. They didn't say the name of the dude. They didn't give a nickname. They didn't give an address. They didn't give a Snap account. They said, the one you love. Jesus got there a couple days later. And when he got there, the services was going on. When he got there, Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, they had an attitude. They was crying. All heck was breaking loose. And they looked at Jesus and said, if you would have been here, our brother wouldn't have died. Jesus knew he was about to raise him. But the moment of death, of somberness, his human side, don't tell me he didn't have a human side, because otherwise him dying wouldn't have meant nothing. So he had emotions. So if Jesus can weep, And he know he about to go in there and say, Lazarus, rise. He can raise the dead. But if I can't raise no dead, we can't raise nobody. If you can raise the dead, let me know. I got some people I need you to call from the grave. You got to deal with the emotions that are there. And the best way to deal with the emotions, you got to let them out. I was just talking to a brother dealing with death. I said, hey, you can't go drink, you can't drink grief away. There's no alcohol that when you become sober again, the person that you grieving, that hurt don't go away. In fact, you hinder the hurt because you don't ever deal with it. So now your grieving process takes even longer because you ain't gonna never be the same, but you can be okay. But if you keep drinking away your sorrows and your grief, you ain't gonna never overcome that challenge, get to a better state of mind. If you keep smoking the weed away with it, if you keep doing this and keep doing that, I ain't trying to fool you. I'm just trying to school you. Mental health, the way it looks in men, it looks a little bit different than what we think. And so we got to be honest with yourself. If you need it, it's okay. In fact, it's a stronger dude, it's a stronger brother to go get help. That's it. I can't do this by myself. Hey, I work out. I talked about working out. Man, I was at one point I was doing pushing some weight on the bench press, but I wasn't no fool. Hey, brother, can you spot me? Strangers. I would have a stranger doing it. Brother, can you spot me so I won't die? Every now and then, all the therapist is doing is spotting you so you won't die. That's free right there. I just came up with that off the top of my head. And so death is an issue. So I'm just painting some pictures for you. I just like to paint some pictures. And so as we continue to wind down, I had a guy tell me this is what his brother said. I was just doing this father workshop the other day. And when you have stresses and when we have things that are undiagnosed, this what happened. The brother said, he said, man, I was so under so much stress with my lady. She was telling me I need to be more of a man. She was telling me that I need to contribute more financially. She was telling me, I need to do this, I need to do that. And he said, that's how I caught my last case. He said, that's how I got the breaking and entering. He said it out loud. He said it proud. In his mind, his girl was the reason he broke into somebody's crib. Man, we need mental health issues. We need mental health therapists. We need to go to mental health. That brother, and I pulled him aside, I had to talk to him because we got undiagnosed stuff like ADHD. You can have ADHD and be impulsive and come up with these ideas that's going to solve the problem. But before you have had a chance to think it out, the ramifications and repercussions, you didn't already committed the crime. That's like cut and dry. That's like the poster child for ADHD. And if you don't get it addressed, you keep making you like Get Right in the movie Life. You keep making the same mistake because you just can't get right. All right. And so, think about that. Guys, I'm just giving you some examples of what this mental health look like. I ain't trying to fool you. I'm just trying to school you. And one of the last things I want to give y'all is just talking about forgiveness. We gotta learn how to forgive each other. We gotta learn how to forgive people who have trespassed against you. Because if you don't forgive, it's like a burden that weighs you down. And man, and I'm gonna call to the witness stand. I'm gonna call my guy, my man, my dude, Tupac, because I was listening to the song "Dear Mama" the other day, and I just started to break it down a little bit when we talk about forgiveness and when we talk about mental health. When Tupac did "Dear Mama," which is a classic, it wasn't just a letter to his mama. It was a letter for him. And I have a lot of my clients do writings because when you put the pen to the paper, it becomes therapeutic. And so Tupac said, I reminisce on the stress I caused. It was hell, hugging on my mama from a jail cell. Man, he thinking about letting his mama down. He thinking about the issues he caused other people in his family. He said, who think in elementary? I see the penitentiary. Don't nobody plan to be locked up. Don't nobody plan to be a drug addict. Don't nobody plan to be hooked on some type of substance. Who think in elementary? I being in the penitentiary. How does that weigh on his mind? And then he said, I finally understand. I finally understand that for a woman, it ain't easy to raise a man. So he was putting all this blame on his mama. Throughout the drama, he said, they would blame it on their mama. But now he said, I understand that for a woman, it ain't easy to raise a man. And that's what counseling does. It helps you realize some things and it helps you let some things go. And then he went on to say, and ain't nobody tell us it was fair. No love from my daddy, because the coward wasn't there. He said he passed away and I didn't cry. I just talked about that. Because my anger wouldn't let me feel for a stranger. It's so much in there. I can unravel that all day. His daddy was a stranger to him. And if you watch the video, Tupac was actually at the funeral, off in the cut. He still went to his daddy's funeral. But he said, I didn't feel. I didn't cry. I didn't feel. And no, he did feel. He was angry. And it's easy for us men to accept the anger part of our emotions, but we don't want to accept the sad part. So he said, I didn't cry, but it's still in him somewhere, and he needs to let it out. So I'm telling y'all, brothers, man, you got to have a safe space. You got to let some of this stuff out, and you just can't be angry about everything. Some of this stuff you got to be sad about. Some of this stuff you got to cry about. Some of the stuff you gotta let go of. Let these bags go. Like Erica Badu said, you're gonna miss your bus. You can't hurry up because you got too much stuff. You gotta let some of this stuff go. All right. And we got bare minimum brothers out there all over the place who got confidence issues because of the trauma in your past. That's what I said it. Bare minimum brother. All you willing to do is the bare minimum, just enough to get by. You ain't trying to do nothing better. You ain't trying to be no greater. You ain't trying because you're afraid of failure. You're afraid that you're gonna mess up. You're gonna afraid, and all that stems a lot from your childhood. I mean, you need to give me a call at Cool Concepts Outside of Ordinary Limits, 708-405-9569. Again, if you don't know what you're listening to, this is Will Smith. We talking cool on IntellectualRadio.com, people. I'm just trying to help you be better. Today's episode, mental health for matters for men, first responders, medical professionals, law enforcement, military cats, vicarious trauma, secondary trauma. All that stuff is real. It weighs on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. I got y'all. I work with y'all. I see y'all. I'm going to be in New York next week talking to a bunch of people just as involved, catching cases, military vets, called a Veterans Treatment Court. I'm going to be there trying to help that court be the best it can be for a week. I'm telling y'all, this mental health stuff is real. Mental health matters. It don't mean that you're weak. It don't mean that you're flawed. It don't mean that you're unable to cope. It don't mean that you're unable to succeed. It just means that I need some assistance to overcome these challenges. And maybe you need another perspective. Maybe you just need somebody to talk to get some things off your chest. Maybe you need to come somewhere where you can cry because you don't want to cry in front of your girl. You don't want to cry in front of your boys. You don't trust these people with the information. You don't trust that they're going to not use it or bring it up at a time you don't want to bring it up. That's what counselors do. And guess what? If you come to therapy, I tell all my cats, if you come to therapy and you get nothing out of it after a few sessions, good. You ain't lost nothing but a couple of dimes and a little bit of time. But guess what? If I helped you get stable, if I help you get motivated, if I help you get inspired, if I helped you get educated, because a lot of this stuff is psychoeducation that we give people. And if I helped you with congruency, that means the man that I think I am and the man that I want to be is equal. I'm somewhere real close to that. If I helped you with your congruency, then I just may have gained you everything. You may have just gained everything. Because otherwise, as Jonathan McReynolds, one of my singers said, if you don't get it addressed, then we just keep repeating these cycles over and over again. Again, concepts outside ordinary limits, also known as cool, accepts insurances, Aetna, Cigna. I'm taking all type of stuff. Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and cash is always king. All right. Black therapists for black men, black young men, black boys. 708-405-9569. Red like a precious metal. I'm like a diamond. Get you some counseling somewhere. If you don't come to me, get it somewhere. Like a diamond. And y'all know diamonds, they actually from Africa. And here I am. I'm like a diamond. And so, as we conclude, man, I want to thank y'all for this episode, for listening to this episode. Take care of yourself mentally. I'm gonna give you some hints. Take time to unwind. Detach yourself from the phone. You ain't got to answer all the time. Fellas, get some me time. Girls do some me time all the time. They go get the nails done, me time. They do this me time. They got me times all over the place. I don't care if you go fishing. I don't care what you do. Get you some me time. All right, take care of yourself. Again, this is Will Smith, and we on IntellectualRadio.com, the biggest, the baddest, the largest black-owned podcast station, not just in the nation, but in the world. And this is Will Smith, talking cool. Till next time, remember, there's no more powerful force known to the world than a man determined to rise. Peace out. Now they gotta pay attention. Young, on a mission. We win it, we win it, we win it. You lost is becoming the king. God bless all the things I done seen. Suspect for murder and robbery right here on side of me, rolling the green. We all had a dream. Flip old schools, buy a house, look like a whole school. All the pins if you had OGs or old fools.